So now that we know the key gap that we want to address, it's time to consider the reteach plan. And so which reteach structure is best to address this gap? Guided discourse or modeling?
For this, I would say modeling, because we've seen, again, it was about 50% or lower, getting the idea of that slope being affected by the reflection versus a rotation. And I think with a guided discourse, there may be too much of the students agreeing with each other on that incorrect notion. So I prefer to model that first so they can see a correct example.
I agree that model is going to be the best reteach format, specifically because mastery was only 33% here. And if we were going to do guided discourse, we would need a higher percentage of the class to be able to push the discussion towards the stamp. I have identified a task that's aligned to the standard, and I want you to just take 4 minutes to plan your reteach. And as you plan your reteach, I'm also going to be planning my reteach, and at the end of time, at the end of the 4 minutes, we can come together and we can spar. Specifically here, you should be scripting out your think aloud that you want to use to model this task. Let's take 4 minutes, and we'll come back together at the end of 4 minutes. So let's go ahead and swap scripts.
Okay.
And take 1 minute just to review each other's script. And then we'll come back and spar at the end of a minute. So let's share up. What are some of the things that I included in my script that you would like to add to yours?
So you went through just a quick review or a establishing definitions. And I really like that you said you just focus on a point and say, okay, let's think of the possibilities. If I do this, what happens to this point? If I do this, what happens to this point?
And so I think one of the things that you have that I like to add to mine is just your annotations. And so annotations are going to be something that students really need to nail on the AP Calc exam, which is our end goal. And so I know that I want to include some annotations. And so let's swap back. I'm going to give you a minute to revise your script. All right. And so if you flip over to the back, to really ensure that the gap is closed, I've identified some problems for kids to practice on a range of different rigor levels. And so here, let's think about the laps as we think about monitoring. Let's think about what would lap 1 and lap 2, or the procedural and the conceptual laps look like for this practice.
Definitely lap 1, I would say annotations. Because if they are not paying attention and really not just absentmindedly marking up and making notes, they can easily mistake which one is the pre-image versus image, because now there are 3 to choose from.
Try this. I'm coming around to ensure that you have mapped the pre-image onto the image.
Okay.